Now I would like to show you, share my screen. On Zoom, you can share your screen. But wonderful. But I learned that I don't want to show you my screen at all, because my screen is a mess. And that is my mess. So I learned that if you open your browser before, then you share directly your browser and not all your screen. So, can I share now my screen? Here. I go directly to Toastmaster International instead of going to my mess. And as you are used to, you log in. Yes, and now I am in education, pathway learning experience. And usually it takes me directly, yes, to my Basecamp. Now on Basecamp, for those who are guides, you will see here login as member or login as Basecamp manager or login as guide. And here you see the 2 clubs, which I now belong, who are already on Pathway. 2 of the 6 clubs, but 2 are on Pathway. And I went all the way to Washington, D.C., to Virginia, to be there. Login as member, and immediately, very fast now, I see that navigating Basecamp explains you all the, you know, you can, I think you have saved and read it already. Shows you how the meetings are, what the roles are, and so on. And with a very strange name of my education transcript are all my paths and projects. And here they are. Here are 1, 2, 3 of my paths. The one I finished, I can see if I click completed. The visionary
communication.
Yes, thank you. Is between the completed, so it's not showing. But I can take it back and see every project is in it. The effective coaching I got only because one of the clubs I joined wanted a new icebreaker. And the presentation mastery at the beginning, for me, it was on paper. I have a manual to show you. That is the level 3. Can you see it?
Yes, Julie, we can.
And when I got that, I told no, I will not use it anymore. So I think everyone who can do it on web, you should help to do it, because the paper version doesn't leave you any choice at level 3 and 4. You have to use the 2 programs which they give you. So now I am on leadership development. And as you can see, I have already completed 2 electives. And I am now almost finished with planning and implementing. The titles are not always what is inside. So when I begin to read it, I found out that it just asked me to create a club meeting with a theme, like Halloween meeting, or this morning I created a meeting about pathways. So I did finish that program, that project. And as to electives, you have a lot. In third level is my favorite level because it has a lot of programs which I can all activate and read and choose. For this time, I choose Inspire Your Audience, which I did it when Carol was there, and she was inspired because she invited me here. And another one joined as soon Pathways, and the other was Connect with Your Audience, which I believed it is easy. But instead of easy, it was funny, because instead of connecting with audience, it was know your audience, and because you know Toastmaster, tell them something that you don't know and make them also interrupt you. At least 4 times, different people, and you have to show how to handle them nicely, professionally. So we had a great time with my friends interrupting me from time to time and me handling them. Now, at level 3, as I told you, I can launch my project. I think you know, or you heard, that to finish a project, you have to answer 2 questionnaires. One is auto-assessment before you begin, and the second is auto-assessment after. Now, that was in a hard way I learned. If you don't answer to one question of any of that assessment, the project never closed. So I can move with this arrow, or I can go from the beginning as what I have to do. Purpose to practice developing a plan and bringing the plan in fruition. So they ask a small project, a trip, a meeting, and so on. And you have to deliver a 2-3 minutes report at the end, or a whole speech if you want at the end. And I think I will tell that I really did that job well, and Carol was there. So if I speak to you 2 minutes now about it, what we had and how it went, I can close my meeting, my project before you, and you can see how it is done. Now I have a picture of you there, and it doesn't help me to go farther. Yeah. So when you are almost at finish, you have all these things that you can, the evaluation, the project in whole, and sometimes more things like here, a plan or a completion form you have to sign that indeed you did it. And you can save it on your own computer, or you can print it. I usually save them all in one folder so I can find it back. At the beginning, I had a problem because whenever I clicked on print a project and I did print it, it came. You know, that's like every manual you are used to. But when I closed it, it didn't come back where I was. So the problem is you have to tell your browser that when you click on a link to open a new tab instead of being instead. Now, after I go here, it asks me the assignment after. So I am able to set and achieve my goals, yes. And instead of clicking here, like I did at the beginning, you have to put next. It is not difficult unless you don't know it. I can take stock of necessary resources, able to create effective project schedule, potential risk. Yeah, and there are not many risks today about pathway. Risk was not to have guests. And we were 27 or 25 just a few minutes ago. I am able to delegate tasks, yes. We had a lot of tasks in our meeting, were wonderfully done. And we had a panel meeting at the beginning. And then we had a pathway speech. And after the pathway speech, we had pathway topics instead of table topics. 20 minutes from everyone. And after the meeting, I had a few minutes and someone already messaged me, I want to be in Pathway and I will join Zaldi Club, which they learned that they can join. So it was successful. So in every end of project, you are asked to recognize that the project applies in the life outside Toastmasters. And that is very important because many projects do. And as soon as you answer the last question, there is a submit, click here, which means you tell Toastmaster and it shows you the answer before and after. When you see that screen, it means the project is finished. Until you don't see it, no project is finished. Even if you go next and it tells you, congratulations, you completed this project. Unhappily, you still can go there before the project is considered really finished. Now, if you come here and wait just a little bit, you will see that it will be a check on my planning and implementing. It takes a time to refresh. And while it does, if you want, I can take questions. And after that, if you want, I show you a few more elective projects of 3 or 5 levels of another path.
Excellent, Julie. So let's see if we've got someone who'd like to ask you a question. Just unmute yourself and ask Julie directly.
Hi, it's Valerie, Julie. I'm wondering how long it takes to do a path, or the parts of it.
Excuse me?
How long does it take to do a path? How many hours?
Yes, many. Depends on you. There were some, I looked yesterday, there were some who just went through it very fast, and it took them 2.5 months.
Oh.
That was the shortest I had seen. I have been through 2 paths, almost finished now, in 7 months. So I am a lot slower. But I had the advantage also to go to many online clubs. Because I'm in one online, I can visit other online clubs who had not enough speakers and always welcome me. You want a speech, you want to be evaluator, you want, and so on. And while we speak, you see now, I have a check, planning and implementing. And as I finished also my required, I can activate the completion of level 3 here. It explained me that I have to ask the vice president who has to approve it. So I will not be able to show you because it is still the vice president of my club, which I am giving that level, that have to approve that yes, it is okay. Other question?
Thank you, Valerie. Is there anyone else who would like to unmute and ask Julie a question about what we're seeing right now or anything about her journey? Julie, I have a question for you. I know that Valerie has asked how long to do a path. I wonder, could you also estimate how long it took to complete a level within a path?
So that depends a lot of the, one moment, leadership development here. Depends on the level, because the first levels are relatively short and easy to complete. When you go to level 4, you have projects who takes a month at least. For example, you have to complete in 1 month at least 8 blog posts, or you have to complete a podcast, which has to be at least 30 minutes altogether, all to have to manage online teaching, which is easier, or manage projects successfully. And at level 5, it took me even more, because you have to do something, sometimes even you can do a high performance leadership projects, or to, in my case, successful events means that I will do with someone else a storytelling event which will be in December, and we prepared for it for 2 months now. And the elective, you can do a panel discussion or a high performance leadership or leading a volunteer organization. It takes a lot of time. But that means that more we progress, more we take responsibility and do something important inside or outside Toastmasters.
Thank you, Julie. That is a very complete answer to my question, and I think very valuable for the Pathways Guides here, who will often have that question posed of them. And until we see the depth of each level, it's difficult for us to answer. So being able to see what you need to do here is most valuable. Is there anyone else with a question for Julie?
Sid? No, John wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Julie, how is it relatively easy to change your home club when you need to, you know, when you've completed a level and you need your VPE to
Yes.
sign off on that?
You have to change your home club 1 or 2 days before.
1 or 2 days before.
And then you change just the button, which was that when I entered.
So it's a simple process.
And that is attributed and will go the end of a level to that club.
Yeah.
You just have to ask, or not you don't have to, but it is nice to ask the vice president if he needs that level, if he wants that level, because at some time the club I gave all my hours told me, now we had enough, now spread the wealth and give to another club. And then I went to second club who told me, we don't have enough members and we don't have any hours and it is a waste. So I gave them to third club and they were very happy with it. But it was very easy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You just have to, one thing important to explain to vice presidents or base club managers, which can be, of course, also president and secretary, that besides approving it in the base camp, you have to go also to Club Central in Toastmasters International, because they are not connected.
That's right, yeah.
So they have to declare in 2 places. If not, they are not declared.
Okay, thank you.
So would you like to see the evaluation and feedback?
Yeah, if we could, thanks.
Yes, please, Julie.
Yeah.
It seems only 1, but in fact there are 3 different tasks in it, in 3 different meetings and 3 different speech. So I think they should have told from the beginning the 3 tasks of, that is the only one who has 3 tasks instead of 1. But it is why we will understand deeply what means evaluation, Smedley style, really helping someone. So you have to give a first speech and then listen to evaluation and incorporate in a second speech. And understanding now deeply why evaluation is so important, then you can evaluate someone. These are the 3 projects. And here, at the beginning, you are explained all the 3 you have to do. You can do the same speech, and I think it is recommended, because a professional speaker always gives a speech many times to improve. But you don't have to. You can take one thing from one evaluator or even from auto-evaluation sometime and improve the second time the speech. And that is one project I begin to tell when I was there to my Firebirds online club, that you can do without being on pathway. You don't have to wait to give a speech, listen to a good evaluation, and then give it again. And then evaluate someone. It is, everyone can rehearse and be ready with that example, for example. Now, one problem for me it was that at the beginning, because after I allowed my pop-ups, of course, which was the first problem, this screen came very short, very small. And I didn't see the arrows here, left and right. And so I had to put my my window big in order to see everything. And also I didn't see this arrow here, which lets you go from one page to another, or one chapter of the project.
Julie, I think that that's a very important point in the navigation. Once we, as Pathways Guides, get into our virtual support sessions, I think the navigation is one of the key elements that will support people, along with some of the language and terminology. Now, I heard you say earlier that you felt that the education transcript was an unusual name to give that area. Are there any other terms that you found intriguing or confusing?
Yes. For example, when I finished the project, it shows launch. It was as if they wanted me to begin again. But launch for them means you finish the project and you can open it again if you want. If you didn't finish a project, it is activate, for example. And you see here, yeah, on level 4, I was 3. So I can mark complete. Now they ask me to mark complete. I do. And now it recognizes launch, but asking me to evaluate the planning and implementing. The evaluation is not absolutely necessary. It comes a letter to you telling now you have finished level 3, please evaluate it. It means I evaluate those who wrote that project. So if I tell evaluate, it comes here and I can tell what is my opinion. It is valuable or not. I can agree or disagree and also write comments. And sometimes I did write comments and I didn't like very much for some reason. And what I didn't like is some project in level 2, which had a terminology very high, big organization or level, let's say. Now I submitted my answer. And now it, instead of evaluating, is launch again. So now I just have to wait for this level at least to the VP to go. I was Basecamp manager, like secretary, for about 2-3 months. And I could see the other side of the mirror. And on the other side, the Basecamp manager get a letter and also get an announcement in as Basecamp manager to ask, yeah. And another problem for me is that they corrected it. You see here, I go check compatibility, which is very wonderful. But if I click on check compatibility, nothing happens. For me, I didn't understand why. Because you have to go down under it, and then the check compatibility appears. So small things like that disturbed me a lot at the beginning. And also when I went to Navigator, who has a page which explains how to navigate the Navigator. Because it has 5 different kinds of navigations.
Julie, thank you so much for walking us through in your path and your levels. We really appreciate what you have done for us today. It makes so much more sense to me. And I know that I can be a little more enthusiastic now when I'm explaining that to those groups whom I am supporting. So could you please give your applause in the online way, which is this. The waving of the hands is applause in the deaf community. So would you please give applause to Julie in the online way? Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you very much, and I have to tell you, I love Pathway. I complain from time to time, but it changed my life.
And I think it will change many others. I'm keen to know how well this session suited your needs today. I'm launching a poll. Would you please take a few seconds to answer 3 simple questions, and then we will wrap up for this evening. First question there is, how well did the presentation meet your needs today? And just a matter of choosing from the multiple choice. Second question is, how well did the Pathways topics appeal to you in the beginning? And thirdly, how well do you now understand the ways in which a Toastmaster works within the paths and levels? Thank you for those who are answering the questions. I'll wait for a second or two for those others to put them in place. And whilst I'm waiting for that, I'm looking at the text chat to see what Matt is saying, and for him the cameras aren't working, but he's waving. So the poll tool won't work for you, I don't think, because it requires a different entry level for you into Zoom. So I will publish the polling in a moment and I will tell you the results. But thank you for that question, Matt. This is a new technique for me in Zoom and I'm quite liking it. You might want to consider it for your virtual support sessions so that you've got a little bit of feedback from those. So if you're all done, I'm going to end the polling and then we'll see the results. I'm going to share those results with you now. So Julie, you'll be pleased to know that you've got 100% there for 4 out of our participants there on how well the presentation met your needs today. And I understand so well the second answer there. We want more. The second one, how well did the Pathways topics appeal to you? Quite useful. Thank you for that feedback. And for the third one, the majority of people found very informative, but need time to process. And 1 or 2 thought it was brilliant. I get it. Thank you so much for attending today. Really appreciate your time and the way in which you've come into the meeting today via an iPad. And I noticed that by now, Adrian is now in his venue ready to present. And I understand that others have come in via voice only and that you have been able to enjoy the presentation from Julie. Once again, I have to say thank you to my wonderful Pathways pioneer, and we wish you all a good night.
Or a good morning for me.
Or a good morning to you, Julie, and a happy breakfast. Thank you, everyone. I'm now going to stop the recording.